Blink Twice is the directorial debut of Zoe Kravitz, and I went to the theaters over the weekend to go see it. So, let's review. Blink Twice is about two women, Frida and Jess. They get invited to this island with this billionaire named Lassiter King. And after multiple nights of drugs, alcohol, and having a good time, they soon realize that there is something else afoot. Now, the main reason I was interested in this is because of Zoe Kravitz. I've kept an eye on her acting career, and when I found out that she directed this, I'm like, that is interesting. Let's see how this works out. And plus, from what I saw in the trailers, it looked like it was either going to be a murder mystery or just some murder thriller, however you want to call it. Either way, it was a genre that I vibe with. And this is a pretty stacked cast that I will get into in a little bit, but the main selling point is Channing Tatum, where he is in a villain role, which is quite different from what he's usually plays. And so now, how do I feel after seeing the movie? I quite dug this film. I felt this was a great directorial debut from Zoe Kravitz. She knew exactly what she wanted for this movie. She knew exactly what she was intending for this movie. I do gotta mention that they put a trigger warning at the very beginning of this movie, and it was for the scenes that depict violence and sexual violence. Now, on one hand, that's new for movies, but on the other hand, I will welcome it, because there are some things in this movie that may trigger some people, but after seeing the movie, I'll say this. The way they depict it in the movie, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but at the same time, I'm not going to tell anyone to not be triggered by what is in the movie. So that's entirely up to you, and if you know what's going to mentally trigger you, just be warned. All that being said, I thought this movie was like a nice little exploration on rich people and how they abuse power, the excess of power that people have, and just the overall excess of freedom of not being able to have any worries about money, and that you can literally do anything you want on any given day, even if that means drinking and doing drugs all day. So I will say the first act of the movie that was basically setting everything up, it was a bit slow, but then once you get to that second act, that's when the movie really got going, and then once all the bullshit stopped and characters got serious and started realizing, like, wait a minute. To me, that's when the movie really got going. Now, of course, I gotta talk about the cast. Naomi Ackie, who plays Frida in the movie, and I'm glad that she is still getting work because she was in movies like Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, and the last time I saw her was when she played Whitney Houston in the Whitney Houston movie, I Just Want to Dance with Somebody. So I do gotta give a personal shout out to Zoe Kravitz for giving this woman work. Because I ain't gonna lie, I was worried for her after The Rise of Skywalker, and I'm not saying the Whitney Houston movie didn't do her any favors, but it kinda didn't do her any favors. So I'm glad Zoe Kravitz was able to see her and give her a good part for her to work with. And Naomi Ackie, she was excellent in this movie, just from the facial expressions that she's able to convey in this movie, from whether she's relaxed, happy, or sad, or afraid. She really made me fear for the character's life. Channing Tatum plays Lassiter King, who is the billionaire that owns this island that they are on, and the way they do his switch up in the movie, it is just amazing, because Channing Tatum, I ain't gonna say he's not the best actor, but he's just one of those actors where you put him in the right role, he excels. And what they do with his character later in the movie, I'm like, oh wow, I did not know he was capable of this. I don't even think he knew he was capable of this. Aaliyah Shawkat plays her best friend, Jess, and she was pretty okay in this movie. There's a bit with her and her lighter that she uses to smoke with, and like I said, nothing is trivial in this kind of movie. Then you got Adria Arjona in this movie, which I was really impressed with her switch up, because at the beginning of the movie, she's kind of in competition with Naomi Accie's character, Frida. She's basically fighting for the attention, but then at the halfway point when things really got going, that's when, I'm not going to spoil, but like, let's just say those two characters, they kind of form a partnership. And they carried the rest of the movie for me, the way they work with each other. Filling in some of the rest of Lassiter King's crew is Haley Joel Osment, who I really did not expect to be in this movie, Simon Rex, who I'm gonna be honest, the last time I saw him was in the Scary Movies, and Kyle MacLachlan, and fuck it, I'll spoil it, Gina Davis is in this movie. And yeah, I did not expect to see her in this movie. Like, yo, she's still acting great, because I just saw this woman in Beetlejuice, and the fact that she's still getting work, I'm like, great, and thank you, Zoe Kravitz. In the end, I'm still kind of processing my thoughts within this movie, because I like how this movie does have pure intentions. It has something to say about women and their place in the world, and women abuse and the abuse of power. And the movie also has something to say about memories and forgiveness. Like, is it better to forgive somebody, or is it just better to forget? Like I said, this was a solid directorial debut from Zoe Kravitz, but given some of the content in this movie, it all comes down to personal taste. I'll leave some room for my rating of this movie to go up, but for right now, I'm gonna give Blink Twice the thumbs up emoji.